All right, we're going to go in and we're going to look at the HSL sliders, hue, saturation, and luminance. And so what we're doing here is we're working with the color in the image. And so here we are back in Camera Raw, and we're looking at this image, and we're going to go across to the tab for HSL. And so the first slider is for hue, and what I'm doing here is I'm able to take a color and push it to the end of its spectrum into another color space. So you'll see here with the reds, I can grab those and I can drag that slider. You'll see that how it's changing where the reds are. So at the end of the reds are the oranges. Same thing with the orange. If I grab that orange and drag it to the left, I'm taking the orange and pushing it towards the red, magenta, and then if I drag it over towards the right, I'm pushing the oranges into the yellows. And how orange or how magenta or orange or yellow I want that to be is up to me. So here we go with yellows, and you'll see that in the trees that I can make those trees greener by grabbing the yellows and dragging it over to the right, or I can make them sallow by dragging the yellows over to the left. The greens, not a lot of greens in this picture, but you get the idea. Let's look at aquas. Not a lot of aquas in here. Let's look at blues. So look what happens with the sky. When I adjust that blue, I can make that blue a very different colored blue. And same with the purples. There's a little fringe of purple in those clouds. There's not a lot of magentas in the picture, but the idea with that is that I can take the color and push it into the spectrum of the next color on the color wheel. Let's look at saturation. So saturation is the intensity, and so if I take the saturation down for the reds, or I take the saturation down for the oranges, and look how I've desaturated those rocks. Or I could go to the blues and desaturate the sky, and the purples, and the aquas, and now the sky is starting to be less saturated as far as the intensity of the color. And so that's the, now anytime you want to reset one of these sliders, you just double click on the slider and it will reset. Let's look at luminance. So that's the lightness or darkness. So if I drag this to the left, you'll see that the reds are getting darker. If I drag it to the right, you'll see the reds getting brighter. The oranges, the reds are getting much darker. To the right, much brighter. And so on. The yellows, much darker, much brighter. And so that luminance is the light or darkness inside of each of these particular colors. Okay. And that's my hue, saturation, and luminance slider.